like to call to order the September 18th Zoning Board of Appeals, Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is August 21st. Do I have a second? Okay, I see here. All in favor? We're making a motion. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. First order of new business is area variance 230004, Michael Tarantino, commonly known as 8 Knight Street. Is Michael Tarantino here? Yeah, please step up and state your name and your address.
My name is Michael Tarantino, Sr. I live at 8 Knight Street, Glens Falls. I'm asking for a variance to put a pre-built shed in the back part of my property. Also in the variance, I was asking for a setback of 3 feet instead of 10 feet. When I bought my property back in '77, it's a smaller size lot than what's under code today, so it's not a standard size lot. So I need the variance for that, and also I'd like the setback, just so it give me a little more space. I also have 2 statements from my neighbors, the back people and the people to my left, that it would affect, and they say they signed it and said they had no objection to it, or no.
Can we enter that in? Can we see
Yep,
that?
absolutely.
Can we start with Steve?
One is in the back, which is on the next street, which is right behind my property. Another one is 10 Knight Street.
It's the size of the shed is a 12 by 24. Was
12 by 24.
Okay. Can you tell us why it needs to be 3 feet away and you can't go any?
Well, it's going to give me more space in the back for recreational purposes. We do a lot of games. My kids all love the games, but that's the main reason. I just wanted to leave some space to mow around it, and as long as they have no objection, I'd prefer it that way. So.
Okay. As these come around, do we have any questions or discussion from the board members?
I generally like to ask when we're getting closer to the adjacent property lines, what's going to be kept in the shed? Is there electrical? Is there gas? And is there anything like that?
Well, it would be tools, possibly a lawnmower, basically tools or lawn furniture, outside furniture that we need a place to store.
No hardline electrical or anything like that to it?
Not at this point, but I was hoping later on I might get electrical put into it. It doesn't come pre-built with electrical, no.
And storage of gas and things like that?
If that's a problem, I could store the gas somewhere else.
I just want to
But
know,
there probably would be normally.
like a regular,
Like a lawnmower.
like a gallon or 2 container kind of thing?
Right.
Are you planning any commercial use out of this shed?
No.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Pete, do we have any public comment online? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So walk me through this. First step is seeker, or first step is motion?
First up is seeker. With respect to this project, I would classify it as a type 2 action, as it is the granting of an area variance for a single-family residence. Therefore, no further action is required.
Okay. Do they need to read this?
No, you don't have to do any seeker because it's a type 2.
Great. All right, so I would make a motion to approve this application. I'm supposed to talk about it a little bit. As far as it does not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, will not be a detriment to nearby properties. The property holders, the neighboring property holders seem to be in favor of it. The granting of this variance is necessary, and while it might be able to achieve a similar result by a different method, the 3 foot is not a problem.
It's not unreasonable.
Not unreasonable, thank you. The 10-foot to 3-foot variance, 7-foot request is substantial, but I don't think that it can be accomplished in any other way. It will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. And while the difficulty is self-created, I feel like it's not unreasonable to pass the application as it is. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay,
Who seconded?
that's not.
Yeah,
Do we want?
Matthew, you need the buzzer.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to do roll call around?
okay. Yes.
All right, so with Steve?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. The motion is passed unanimously. The application is approved and granted. Right? Thank you. Next is the 80 Glens Street.
Yes.
Right. Our next business, order of business is use variance 23005. This is John Coate at Cody, I'm sorry, on 80 Crandall Street. Could you please step up and give us your name and address, please?
Yep, my name is John Cody. I currently own 80 Crandall Street, Glens Falls, New York. This is my realtor, Angela.
So you are the current owner?
Yep.
Not the buyer?
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the project or about the application now?
Yep, so currently when you do a municipal search, it's zoned as
Is that on the title?
And the title it is, yeah, it's not on the municipal search. Yeah, their title report came back with it as a two-family. And if
The financial hardship of converting this back to one family would be absurdly expensive. And so I believe we can move ahead with this. Do we have any public comment? Anyone from the audience or online? Okay. Any other questions? Bill? All right. Here we go. So the motion for, I'd like to make the motion
Wait,
to.
we've got the seeker.
Seeker.
With respect to seeker, your application is incomplete. You've got NA and it really needs to be completed. I think we can still continue on because we can ask the questions and answer them, which is the part 2, this board's job. But you need to resubmit part 1 and that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affecting its existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation and renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Based upon the board's review of the short environmental assessment form, the board could issue a negative declaration and you require a motion for that.
I make a motion to declare a negative declaration of seeker. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any
Nay,
opposed? Nay?
it's not complete.
Okay.
Not vote on it.
Seeker passed.
Seeker
And
passes.
we move on.
Sorry. These are as presented at the meeting on September 18th. Got it. Thank you. And now we'll go through back to here. All right. The requested use variance will not alter the essential character of the multifamily for many, many years. The variance is not self-created since it seems to be some aberration of zoning that it's being shown as one family when it's surrounded by 2 families. And it's been a 2-family for many years. Did I skip something there? Yeah. Oh, thanks. All right. The applicant cannot realize a reasonable return or market return substantial as demonstrated by financial evidence, which is self-evident. The hardship related to this property is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of
notified by the building department in June of 2023 that they were over, that the part of the asphalt replacement and the addition since 1960, so this is a long-running business. It's been located in the city. At that time, you know, before they put the binder down, they did install a wing swell along the east side. There was some complaints by the neighbors about stormwater running off the property to the east. So in order to try to redirect that water that was coming across the pavement, they put a wing swell along that east side, which takes water to the north and to the south. We were brought in after Van Dusen and Steves did an as-built survey after they got notified that they needed to come to the zoning board. Van Dusen and Steves recommended us to work with Fitzgerald Brothers Beverage to work on the zoning application of the variance and eventually stormwater management and site plan review. As you can see, the lot coverage issue, the existing lot coverage was 67.7% prior to the building addition and the pavement addition. The building addition already went onto the hard surface area, so the building addition itself didn't create additional lot coverage. It was within the paved area existing, but the additional pavement towards to the north was about 14,500, 600 square feet. That was additional impervious area. So what you have before you today is a request to give us to allow us to have that relief from the 50% lot coverage. You know, I think in the past, having worked with the town before, or with the city before, I know this came up on the Just Water project, a few other projects that I work with, that 50% lot coverage is kind of onerous in an urban environment. Most municipalities have a 25% pervious area requirement, even in, you know, in industrial zones and commercial zones. 50% is asking to leave 50% of the land not used at all in a light industrial. That's kind of difficult because it does cover both, not just building, but it covers any hard surface area. So that's asking you to leave 50% of your parcel, you know, unusable basically.
To be pervious.
What's that?
Not to be usable, to be pervious.
To be pervious, correct.
There are treatments that could be utilized in the same way that are porous.
There are, but they're only 50%. You could only get 50% for some of them. For when you start to use some of the heavy traffic stuff, it gets very difficult to do. And especially in heavy traffic, truck traffic, what we found is like the pervious asphalt is very difficult to keep together, you know, through the freeze-thaw. Pervious pavers. Extremely expensive, plus the truckloads that you're seeing. You know, this is an industrial use. You don't normally see pervious pavers used in an industrial
The only negative with pervious pavers and certain industrial applications, from my experience, is possibly like bleaching or salts or things like that that can come off, and then partially, I guess, impede the efficacy of the pervious paver. But pervious paver can definitely be used in public parking. I mean, they can be used in parking lots. They can be used in industrial applications. I think the whole point of it is that we're trying to maintain and minimize the runoff, which you guys have already gotten pushback from your neighbors.
Correct. Yeah.
So you had to actually.
You know, we do plan on addressing the storm. As I was preparing this, I thought we had to go to planning board first. I wasn't prepared to complete the stormwater management portion of it when we were directed by the building and codes to get something into the zoning board prior to your submission date. So we have no issue with going to the site plan review and preparing stormwater management and addressing the stormwater issues.
To me, I know that it's not this board's purview per se, but granting this sort of variance
Mhm.
and stormwater management go hand in hand.
Correct.
We have a
I-
very serious stormwater problem in this city, so
I-
this
I-
is very.
That's why we have some
Yep.
of those questions about.
No, and I understand, but when I expressed that to the building and codes official who told us we needed to have something in, I told him I did not have stormwater management completed at the time, for our submission, that we were working towards it. I got involved very late in this project.
When do you foresee yourself having that information?
After talking with the neighbors, I want to meet with them again and try to address their concerns, try to find some sort of compromise and address those so that we can resubmit. If that is what this board wants to see, the stormwater management, then, then I would ask to table it so that it give us another month to be able to go through everything. It's in the middle of construction season, so we're very busy right now. But if we could have a 2-month hold, or I try to get it in a month. We're already down to your deadline is within about 15 days, 14 days. Has to be in the first of October,
Is it-
It's the first Wednesday of the month.
the first Wednesday of the month,
Yep, so I believe that's October 4th.
October 4th,
To get it out to,
to get it on to the zoning board.
Yep.
Right.
I
So
mean,
my concern, question first.
Yeah.
Before this was ever done, the addition, the additional paving and all that, were there any complaints by your adjacent neighbors about water runoff?
I'll have to ask Brian. I'm not aware personally of those. I'd have to ask Brian if he had any. Yeah, you can.
thanks, Ryan. Come on. So this is something that's already existed, not something that is planned?
No, I'm asking retroactive before you put the addition, before you did the additional paving. You were already over the threshold. My first question is, did you ever have complaints about water runoff to your adjacent neighbors when you were in that condition?
My name is Ryan Fifield, and no, we did not receive any complaints prior to. The first complaint came as we milled up the surface and prepared to do this step.
So I think we can kind of make a little bit of an assumption here that the additional pavement going over the threshold, even past what the 50% is. I understand your perspective,
No.
with the 50% being
Right.
tough enough to handle in your use. But we can say that going even further past that threshold is now starting to cause problems.
Well,
And runoff to your neighbors.
just to that
I
point,
understand you guys may,
well, it's to that area that was added is to the north and drains to the north. Does not drain off. There is no additional pavement that was added to the area to the east along that neighbor's parcel. The area that was added was to the northeast and flows to the back of the parcel.
right, but, and I don't know enough
Mhm.
topography and all that, and seeing this, but what I can say is, I make a deducement here, that the increased impervious area land on there doesn't allow the water to go down, has to go somewhere, part of it went there. I know you put some sort of berm or something, a barrier swale to then divert or prevent it from going there, and that's, solid, it's good approach. It's just, I'd like to know what's long term, I gotta think about your adjacent neighbors, not just, hey, I wanna use this with big trucks. A person who's living there, they understand that, they know what you guys are doing, they get that, right? But they don't have to absorb chemicals or waters and stuff coming onto their land, and even though your solution right now may be solving that right now, today, we don't know down the road. So I'm more of the perspective that if you're gonna go even past the threshold, you're already, in compliance, non-compliance, which I get, you're past that, that's what you were operating always as. But when you go past that, I would argue that, I understand it's a cost implication, but I would argue that you should probably be thinking about doing something to minimize that.
Oh, there's no doubt that we are going in that direction, that we are going to do the stormwater management. Like I explained, what we had before. When I talked with the building and codes gentleman, he said that, that the planning board would be more inclined to review the stormwater management. Understanding what you guys have said, in the few minutes that we've had here, you would also like to see that. I don't blame you, and I don't have a problem preparing the stormwater management and trying to address your concerns and the neighbors.
Yeah, that's
It
what.
sounds like we're all on the same page. I would be inclined to table this as well, but we need to do public comment and this kind of thing. Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah, could I just ask about the encroachment issue? How did that come about?
That came-
Why was it, yeah.
That came about when I reviewed the survey that we got from Van Dusen and Steve's and brought it to Ryan's attention. They thought they had more property than they did. That'll be taken care of. It'll be pulled back onto their parcel and it'll have to be corrected.
Okay, so there was no survey done prior to any of the site work?
There was a lot survey done, but when the site work contractor came in to do the paving, you know, there wasn't a plan per se. They milled what was there and then brought in new. To come into compliance.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any public comment? Wait a second. Yeah, does anyone from the public would like to speak? Please step up, state your name and your address.
Yeah, how you doing? Eric Trollstra, 166 Dix Avenue. It's my brother Fred.
Oh, Scott.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
118 upper class street.
This is another neighbor, so he'll speak on his own, but we're going to speak on behalf of Ellen Trollstra, 166 Dix Avenue.
Okay.
Just give you a little history of how this all came about. I observed Fitzgerald Brothers milling the driveway for their property. So I questioned one of the operators on the machine. I said, you know, where's the property line? You know, I had a general idea where it was. And he got a little huffy with me. He said, all you neighbors are the same. I said, well, you can't be milling this if you don't know where the property line is. So I asked to see the manager, and that was Dave Petta. He came out and he couldn't find the pin. So the property line pin, the marker. So that being said, he agreed to have the surveyor come out the next day. And I in turn asked a few questions about the additions and whether there was a permit pulled and whether there was a stormwater assessment done. And I didn't get any answers on that. So I went down to building and codes, asked the questions, and there was a permit approved for the buildings. However, it never went before the boards. I don't have all the history of that. I don't have the actual permit and who signed off on it, but I'm sure there were variance issues that were, you know, needed then for coverage.
So both past the 50% originally?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know how that all came about. That's something we need to explore. But you know, we've been good neighbors for over 50 years there. There have been water issues growing up in the house. The basement was full of water many times. So basically, I said enough's enough. We gotta look into this.
So, I'm sorry, I just want to ask
Yeah,
a
go
question about what you just said. You're saying, is this your mother, I'm sorry?
My mother's house, yeah, where we grew up.
So you're saying your basement has been flooded numerous times?
Oh yeah, it was always wet.
Now, is that necessarily related to this, or is it just?
Hard to say, but now that you're
Do
covering.
you see the water coming from that side to your side, and then maybe?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the property, but if you look at the roof line and the gutter system that's there, it's basically you got 10 cannons shooting at you off the roof line, and the water runs across the parking lot in our direction.
Okay.
Yeah. The northeast part of the property sits about, I would say, 4 to 6 feet. It's a high point. Then it goes to the northeast to the southeast corner of our property, so that's the general slope. So it's basically coming across my mom's lot is the flow of the water in that area. So that's our big concern. Now we're adding all this impervious area.
You're adding possibly more water, so I did.
We're as we say, we're the bottom of the swimming pool right now. And again, we've been great neighbors. We've been trying to work with them. We've never raised any real issue. But at some point now, we've got to say enough's enough. And now then when you start digging into it, and you're finding that, you know, proper permits weren't pulled, approvals weren't done. I got a little upset about it, quite honestly.
Sounds like the contractor we just spoke with is willing to talk and work with you. So
Mhm.
hopefully that can be done during that stormwater in development of the stormwater management plan. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Fred, you want to add anything? Yes,
Your
sir.
mom's property is in this area right here. This would be.
No, she's right here.
She's right up here.
4-6.
Yeah,
Okay.
1666. Yeah, she's to the east. She's to the east.
So there's I'm looking at an aerial view of it. Is it this little house right here?
This is the house here in the business, yeah, this is the whole lot, it's 2 acres.
Okay. Looking right here, looking at it, I'm gonna say it's right here.
It's right here. The high point of the property sits basically here,
Right.
and it all runs this way.
It's just an asphalt.
No, I don't worry about the drainage.
Yeah.
Yes, seems to be an issue, for sure. Not, and shouldn't be, period.
Now, how long's that basement been like that?
Ever since my dad pretty much put it in.
But it's wet.
Yeah.
That long?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to ask a quick question. It's increased it's reduced the impermeable area recently. Have you or your mother or anyone in that home seen any increase in the amount of water in the basement?
I would say it's about the same as it's been, yeah, yeah. It's hard to say with the weather patterns and all that, but it's.
When it rains, it's raining a bit. So if it's raining, do you see more, less, or the same amount of water coming?
Well, they have put the temporary
Yeah.
berm in there,
Yeah.
and that's pushing the water to the street. I've actually
Which
got
wasn't
some,
there before.
which wasn't there, which now just basically moves it around to the street and then down in front of the business, catching those 2 catch basins. I got a video that looks like Colorado River.
Thank you very much. Let's move to the next.
Scott, do you want to add anything?
We did, right,
Okay.
we did it this week.
No, sir, that's okay.
Okay. Anything from you, sir?
No,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great
Is there anyone else in the excuse me, is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak on this matter?
Thank you.
Is there anyone online? No. All right. Well, I'm in the,
So has the applicant requested to table this so that additional information can be provided regarding the storm water management plan?
yes. Do we have your name?
Town Center, CENTER, with Hutchins Engineering.
Thank you. I think the question was, is the applicant?
Yes, we would like to table this. At worst case scenario, it'll take me to 2 submission dates out. If I can get it in here, the next submission date I will. We're gonna work with the neighbors and work with your comments. Do you have any additional comments in regards to, you mentioned, if we can do any permeable sort of pavement, anything else? I mean, one of the things that I'm concerned about with trying to put permeable pavement, especially on the east side, is because of the issues with the neighbors. If we were to look at, where we could do permeable, would be more towards the rear of the parcel, which continues to go in that direction. And then I have to take an engineering look and find a product that would work in those areas. They have already put the binder down. We do have to do some stormwater management enhancement of the existing swales and things that are around the asphalt towards the rear. That was always part of the plan, so we will get into that.
The whole point of the questions that are on here
Mhm.
regarding the thresholds and everything
Correct.
are really about the porosity
Mhm.
around, and not just from neighbors, but from a communal standpoint. The extra water, where it's going to the town, can the whole city, I understand that
Mhm.
we're not gonna just break the city's, facility, but we have to look at this from a gross perspective.
Correct.
As if everybody did this and just said, whatever, I'm gonna pave my whole lot, and I'm gonna have,
With-
pickleball ball,
correct.
work in my backyard, everyone, and,
With the understanding, some of those areas were already going in that direction. The areas that were, they also milled existing asphalt that was there. We're on a tight lot, the pitch is there, is that it is, and runs in the same direction that it did previously, as, with the exclusion of when we added the wing swale to, address the neighbor's concern.
Right.
yeah, so I would like to understand and see both how you're addressing permeability as well
Mhm.
as gross water direction for the whole problem.
Mhm.
Like, I'd like to see that, because if you're looking for an extension to go even, I don't want to say worse, but increase in that direction, I think it behooves us to protect neighbors' rights as much as trying to allow businesses to thrive in this area as well.
And with the
That's
under,
our goal.
and also with the understanding that part of this, the building department did allow the addition to be constructed prior to.
But you started, when you started in the beginning, you even stated that the addition was within
Correct.
your permeable footprint, so you were not changing your permeable footprint.
The coverage, yeah, that's
Well,
correct.
right, the impermeable.
Yep.
footprint.
And the area
So
that-
that part that was approved didn't change that percentage, even though it was over already.
Mhm.
So it's the other part.
Right,
that-
the area, it's the area to the north.
Did you say you have to go before the planning board for something else?
As part of this project, we have to, that we were told that we have to go for stormwater
So I think
management.
you're not gonna get on the next calendar then. You have
No,
to do
we
this
have to
first.
come here first.
Do
That's,
this first, so you're not gonna get on
Correct, but-
October.
but in order to get there, I have to go through this board. This
Right.
board wants to see the full
Right.
stormwater management
Okay.
plan, so I'll provide that. And I'll submit, when I submit to this board, I'll also submit, prior to, for the next planning board meeting. And if I have to modify anything, that, in that submission.
I'm sure you know the deadline,
Yep.
but you're not then gonna be on the October planning
No,
board.
understood.
Okay.
I mean,
So
I-
you're not November.
I guess if we do submit and then submit for both of them at the same time, knowing your board meets before their board, then I would go to their board with, I'd submit the same thing for both
Right,
boards.
I mean, we can do this 4 weeks from now,
Correct.
if you have it
Yeah.
in. Okay.
And so one part also on the short environmental assessment form. So there's two questions, 17 and 18, that specifically address exactly what we're talking about. Will the proposed action create stormwater discharge, either from point or non-point sources? If yes, it says yes. Yes, you clicked it, and it says, okay, if yes, will stormwater discharge be directed to established conveyance systems, runoff or stand drains? If yes, briefly describe. There's no explanation. It's either convenient or, oops, I forgot. 17 and 18, if you guys are clicking yes.
Don't you have this? It says existing.
No, I don't have that. I have this. This is what I got from what was emailed to me.
It's right there. That's their
Oh,
explanation.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So
There is an explanation for
Sorry, I
17.
apologize.
Does anyone else have any input or questions as far as the development of the plan?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I think, conveying water into the roadway is not best practices and may cause a public danger.
It isn't, but it was an existing condition.
Okay.
And it goes into the existing swale that runs along the property lines that most of the entrance areas also flow into if you go down Dix Avenue. I've gone out there a few times to look at what neighboring properties do. Again, we're not a virgin site either, so we're trying to manage everything. I'm not, the Fitzgerald Brothers is not directing additional stormwater, off-site.
But since now we're asking for more and doing site work,
Mhm.
there's going to be additional eyes on this site.
Understood.
As opposed to the one that's not changing. So
Mhm.
if that can be addressed in any way, standing water on the roads happens here.
Right.
It's not safe and, our conveyance system isn't the greatest, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
We have one more. Other than the gentleman that we heard from this evening, Have there been any other complaints from neighbors as far as runoff is concerned?
Not that I've been made aware of, just the neighbors according to the building inspector.
What is your address?
118 Bass Street, so
Behind. Can you come up here? Once we swap places for a second, just so we don't have that awkwardness.
Sorry.
That's okay. Can you please state your name?
Yeah, Scott Fisher. It's 118 Upper Platte Street and 123 Upper Platte Street as well. So we would be on I got one building and land on the west side, and then one would be on the north side behind it. So the water does come down through there, and it does run through. There has been more this summer than anything. Mosquitoes are crazy because of the standing water. I'm also here for my stepfather as well, Ken Whiting. He just can't make it because he's.
Is he also adjacent?
Yeah, he lives with me in
Oh, I
the
see.
house, same place. Yeah.
I think the question is going to be, have you experienced an increase in water issues since the...
They have. So last year, the town actually put in some drainage around the side to kind of help with that. But there's more in there that's flooded the yard a little bit too. I can't speak for the guy that had the Curry house next door, but that's the problem it runs down to.
Okay.
It's not here, I don't know about it, but it's built right here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his property is really.
Okay. So I would encourage you to also participate in the, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Input, questions? I would like to make a motion to table this. I think I need the number. I lost.
Area variance 2-0005.
Right, at 152 Dix. Do I have a second, Tim? Second. Anton? Let's do a roll call, starting with Steve. Go ahead. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is, the application is tabled for the time being. All right. Do I have a motion? I'd like to make I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Second, Steve, I was in for that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.